When people leave comments on the commentary I do regarding the R. Kelly fiasco saying R. Kelly is guilty, not I think he's guilty, but he's guilty. Talking about him being a pedophile, what he supposedly did to underage girls, repeat gossip blogger rhetoric, ask why am I supporting him, or say it's about right and wrong, don't make it about race. It just tells me that the commentary went over their head or they're purposely trying to deflect. The women accusing him, what the bloggers hating on R. Kelly are saying, or an attempt to prove his innocence has never been the subject of any of the commentaries. The subject is usually the part white supremacy plays in this charade. Advice to keep race out of the picture. It might offend the white R. Kelly supporters or would-be supporters. They may feel excluded or because race has nothing to do with him abusing underage girls. Here's what I say to that. If talking about the role the judicial system and corporate media are playing in this farce offends them, then they are not his supporters. If you are only supporting partial freedom, you are not supporting freedom. I'm talking about white supremacy, and white supremacy is upheld by racism. There is no talking about white supremacy without talking about race. I will address the inappropriate comments in this commentary just to really, again, as a point to show how white supremacy moves and how the white supremacist mindset moves. But in the future, comments that have nothing to do with the discussion will be deleted. My goal is to shine a light on white supremacy's moves and why it benefits black people, to take a closer look at what they are looking at and question everything mainstream media presents, because they don't present anything to give you an advantage. And who are these white R. Kelly supporters? His lawyers? Has mainstream media shown any? Of course not. Everything has been set up to promote white supremacy and dupe you into thinking white supremacy doesn't exist or that it isn't that bad. The system and its media target black people openly and unashamed every day, all day, and probably every minute to get you to accept the brutality and collaborate in your own oppression. Their purpose is to break you, and they will if you tune in and watch without a critical eye. So I will call them out openly and unashamed. And if white people get offended, oh well. My purpose is to make it known nothing that corporate media presents is for the good of black people. It is there to uphold white supremacy, and white supremacy depends on keeping black people down. Nellie Fuller Jr. said, there is no freedom of speech. Black people are afraid to speak, and they speak how they're taught. And black people are not taught to overthrow the white man. I address the behavior and corruption of white supremacy to focus on the real problems that black people need to face and handle, instead of what the media has been successful in getting people to think. Like, if you just work hard enough, or if black people can change white people's judgments of them, it will be all good. Change is going to come from us, not them. When the root cause of suffering is clear, putting an end to it becomes easy. Mainstream media has Tucker Carlson, who says things like, America is being invaded by these dirty people that are changing the demographics and dirtying up our culture. After the 2 racially motivated mass shootings that happened in the same weekend, he declared that white supremacy is a hoax. Tucker Carlson himself is proof that white supremacy is real. His words reach masses every night. What do we have? We don't have any media. That's why we must use social media to our advantage while we can. Ignoring and being afraid to speak about the legal bullying, murdering, robbing, and enslavement of black people because white people won't like it is a stumbling block for black people. And it's one of the reasons black people haven't moved since slavery. All race-based acts of domestic terrorists in 2018 were committed by white supremacists, making white extremists responsible for more deaths than any year since 1995. And that's the year that Tim McVeigh blew up the federal building in Oklahoma City. The Trump administration received this information back in April, and this is how they dealt with it. The Attorney General Bill Barr blocked the data from Congress. Funding and programs to stop white supremacy, violence, terrorism, and extremists was eliminated. They go along with the violence, and they stare society to go along with it also. Unity in America is a fraud, and it's time we stop perpetrating a fraud. Pretending it exists, pretending that unity exists so that we're not oppositional, denying apparent racism for white validation or because it feels better or to escape doing something about it is accepting the oppression. Black people know racism and white supremacy exist. Denying it exists is playing along with it. This is why when I have somebody black come on and say to and try to defend Gloria Allred and say, well, she went after some white people too. Big deal. You went after what? 3 white people compared to the 50 black people you went after. And when you got 263 white people that in just this year alone have been charged on have been accused, let me not say charged, that have been accused of sexual assault, how come you're not going after them, but you are staying hard on R. Kelly? See, this is the type of stuff that pisses me off, because my commentary is not, it's just like, let me bring it back. But this is what I'm saying. That's what she chose to leave a comment on. I give all of these examples. So and what it boils down to is people not understanding certain things. I give you the example of her going after the NFL players. And then you tell me about, oh, she's going after some white person too. But you really can't even tell me the white people that she's going after. When she's going after a group of NFL players, because she knows that the NFL is going to suspend players if they have charges brought on them. So she goes to them, they pay to settle out of court so that they won't get suspended and they can continue to get a paycheck. So she ends up getting paid. And that's the game. That's what I'm trying to bring to the light in that commentary. And then you want to talk to me about how, well, it's not that it's, so what are you trying to say to me? Are you trying to say that white supremacy doesn't exist? Like, what's the point? Even if that's what I'm saying. That comment makes no sense to me, because what is the point of saying, well, she went after white people too? Like, so, oh, well, you're wrong about what you're saying about white supremacy. Like, get off my page with the bull. Anyway, and it's not about, I don't mind if somebody disagrees with what I say, but bring some substance with it, okay? Don't just say, well, she's going after some white people too. Of course she has, but we're talking about in comparison to black people. We're talking about the manner in how she goes after black people compared to how she goes after white people. Anyway, talking about white supremacy, it's not race baiting. It's not reverse racism. It is not an attack on white people. Yet, somehow you have black people that feel they got to defend white people. And you have a bunch of white people who take it like it's an attack on white people. And maybe it's because when these white supremacist mass shooters talk, their white supremacy talk, it is race baiting. The average white person denying obvious racism or racism within themselves comes from an ingrained bias that makes them unsympathetic, that makes them defend white privilege. And that's that ingrained bias that makes them go on a plantation tour and feel that the guide was stirring the pot, or felt lectured or bashed from the plantation tourist. They're sitting there feeling guilty, like, and having these defenses. This is what they're writing in their complaints. Oh, well, I shouldn't have to feel guilty. I didn't own slaves. And then this is my other thing. What is with all of this promotion of going to slave plantations? Because, see, when I see a news story in white media, that's how I'm looking at it. Why are you presenting this story to me in the first place? And I'm noticing that I'm seeing a lot of different things with people promoting going to slave plantations. I mean, me personally, I don't know what anyone would want to go to a slave plantation for. Like, what do you go? Is it going to, if going to the slave plantation, now this is directly to black people right here, this part. If going to the slave plantation is going to get you angry enough to want to take down white supremacy, then I understand going. Other than that, I don't understand the point of going to a slave plantation, because my question is, who owns these plantations? Who's profiting off of you going to a tour at a slave plantation? I mean, I don't know, it doesn't seem like black people owned it, because if they did, I wouldn't see so many people promoting going to one. Anyway, another thing that Neely Fuller Jr. said is that there's 3 categories of people. You got white people, non-white people, and white supremacists. And the confusion is only among non-white people. White people, they ain't confused. That's what he said. He's saying they're dictating to all non-white people, and that they will classify non-white people as white and then turn it around to their convenience. So the confusion is never among white people. And I have examples of this in comments that people left by some of the comments left by white people. They come on in the comment section and they are the judge, the jury, and the executioner. They don't want to hear you. They will defend white supremacy, even though white supremacy is taking them out also. Here they come with, here's one comment. This is the one that really made me say, I got to do the commentary, because I wasn't going to address this on the page. Right. Trying to keep the black man down. That's classic. There is no way that anyone cares for the welfare of black teenage girls, right? So my answer to that is, the commentary wasn't about keeping the black man down. It was about how black men are targeted by a white woman that uses white power to extort them with the help of the judicial system. But most likely he knew that, and he was just trying to misdirect the conversation. And then, yes, keeping the black man down is classic, because black people have not stopped being the target of a crooked racist system. And right, there is no way that any of these people I referenced in the video, Allred, Avenatti, mainstream media, care about the welfare of black teenage girls when they only show up when it's a black man behind it. Where are all these white people that care about the welfare of black females when it was discovered that police officer Holtzclaw was raping black women? White people rallied to free him. Nia Wilson got sliced up exiting the BART by a white supremacist coming off the BART. I see no white people in the media coming forward saying this needs to stop. Or what about the girl that was being body slammed from a police officer 3 times her size? Body slammed from the desk in school. No, it can't be that they care about black teenage girls. Not when they only come out when it's a black man behind whatever the scandal is. Then there was another comment, and this was on the, which I think this was the Jeffrey Epstein, where it was Jeffrey Epstein, R. Kelly, 2 of a kind, ? In that commentary, I list just a handful of the hundreds of white men that are being accused of sexual assault. So her response to that whole commentary, where I'm comparing how the media presents the Jeffrey Epstein case and the R. Kelly case. So her response was, and so after Epstein died, she wrote, well, that's another one off your list. It wasn't my list. It's the list of white people that they are not focusing on. And it was a small part of the list because, like I said, it was hundreds of people. And I'm not interested in see, that's what she wanted. She wanted to pull somebody off the list. I wasn't concerned about pulling one off the list. That was her concern. Well, let me get one of them off. You see how the thinking is. You see what they choose to comment on. You overlook everything that I'm saying about, you don't bring up anything that the media that has done. You don't say, oh, well, you know what? That's right. I see that there is something different. They don't talk about any of that. They want to choose. She wanted to choose to get a person off the list. That's what she was concerned about. How can we get one of these white people off the list? And then the other person, who I started a conversation with her on another channel. And I'm going to admit, when I started the conversation with her, I came out wrong because I started off with, how ignorant are you? Okay. And I was saying, how ignorant are you to say that he used his gift to make, and this is talking about R. Kelly, to make his money to cover up his pedo? How about he used his gift and made money, period? Is that what the Jaggers, Elvis, and all other rock or white men that bang teenagers are doing too, using their gift to make money to cover up their pedo? So her response becomes, why can't I discuss this man without having white people, some who are dead, thrown in my face? Now, I wasn't throwing anything in her face, okay? And Then she tells me, stop listening to his defense, trying to make this into people trying to take out a successful black man. This is what I mean when I say they make themselves the judge, the jury, and the prosecutor. Who are you to tell me to stop listening to? And then, first of all, wait, before I say that part, let me just say this. When has his defense ever tried to make this into people trying to take out a successful black man? His defense has never done that. Then she tells me I'm not facing facts. Go read the documents. And then she gives me some not facts. What's the opposite of not facts? Lies. She gives me some lies. She talks about the 14-year-old niece of Sparkle that from the trial in 2008 testified to the grand jury and identified R. Kelly as being the man on the tape that had sex with her when she was 14. Lies. Because she testified in 2008 to the grand jury that it was not her, and her parents testified to that also. Then she tries to sound like, she's really doing something. Go read the charges, the legal papers. I've done a lot of research, and based on the facts, witnesses, testimony, and evidence, this man is likely not going home. So I already know she's a liar at this point, because she's saying based on facts. So come with the facts. Don't just tell me based on facts. What are the facts? Because I don't know what you're considering facts and where you're getting these facts. So I have a problem with that right there. Then she goes on to tell me that the stream is about the girls that are living in Trump Tower, when the stream wasn't about that. The stream was about Jim DeGrossis, or whatever his name is, the book, the guy that's following R. Kelly and writing a book. So then she says, so other than to talk about Kelly, I don't think it is right to bring up another's name. See, this is what she's mad about. She feels that I don't have the right to bring up another's name. And then she says, just because I am white and you black people don't seem to think a black child being abused is my business. Now, who said this to her? This was not said to her in any type, shape, or form. And then she goes into the excuse, I have a blended family. I'm not racist. I lived in Europe where there was all these nationalities and every color was represented. There was no racism there that I ever seen. Why can't it be that way here? And my response is, it is that way here. You don't see racism here either. You see black people complaining. And the reason why I'm really emphasizing this is because she's not even hearing herself when she says, you black people don't seem to think. No one said that. This is what you're hearing from comments. Nobody said this to her. And then she says, race or color doesn't matter to me. A man is being arrested for a crime doesn't matter to me if he's white, black. We're all human. So if that's the case, then why were you so offended when I threw the white men out, okay, and said that I'm throwing white men in your face? If race doesn't matter to you, that wouldn't have been your response. So, I just get tired of people with the bullshit. And so then she, and me and her were going back and forth on this for a while. So she tells me about being in the wheelchair and she would have marched. Like, who's asking you to march? What the hell is marching going to do? And I'll go stand for any child. So then she says, I'm just a little tired of being judged by my race and the insults connected to it. Yeah, well, black people are tired of being judged by their race too. But the thing about this is that no one was judging her by her race. This is the whole thing. This is how she takes it. This is how she takes talking about white supremacy, that she's being judged by her race. Because you know what? She stands behind white supremacy. And this is what it is with many white people. They stand behind it. Because they stand behind it because they know the white privilege that they try to deny that they have. Anyway, so I'm going back and forth with her. And then I just told her, look, I'm not giving this channel any more play because I'm not down with what they're saying and all of that. No. So you want to talk about it, check out one of the videos on my channel, then respond. So she doesn't show up until it's a couple of weeks later. She shows up on the Jeffrey Epstein commentary. This is the one that she chooses to leave a comment on. So I don't know if she listened to any others, but this is the one she chooses to leave a comment on. The one where Jeffrey Epstein, R. Kelly, two of a kind, ? And she decides to say, you seem to be skipping over the fact that Kelly himself said they should have done this 30 years ago. So, again, it's like, let me just talk about what the problem with R. Kelly is. Because my commentary, again, was discussing how mainstream media presents the cases. And then she says, both of these men belong behind bars, period. And then she says, and are you really going to talk about the photos in Epstein's apartment, but we're going to ignore or call the child pornography made by Kelly as he raped his victims is fake? Now, I don't think I would have said anything. I don't even think I addressed the child pornography in that video, in that commentary. So again, she's coming up with some stuff, right? She's bothered that I brought up the photos in Epstein's apartment. Listen to what she says. And you are really going to talk about the photos. Like she's saying, like, I have no right to talk about photos in Epstein's apartment. But because I'm ignoring. No, I'm not. We're not talking about child pornography made by. And then look at how she puts it, as he raped his victims. Okay, but she didn't say, are you really going to talk about the photos of girls Jeffrey Epstein raped? No. So it's like you hear it in the language. And it's for Epstein. Lifetime is going to give him a documentary too. So, at this point, I give her a response like, you're having trouble keeping up with my conversation. I'm not talking about how this is being, I'm talking about how this is being manipulated through the hands of white supremacy. And you can't see that. Well, you don't want to. And I'm telling her she's brainwashed. And at this point, it's not even about whether R. Kelly did what he's accused of. That isn't the discussion here. But that's what you're stuck on. Because that's what she's stuck on. She wants to keep trying to prove that R. Kelly is guilty. And then I go into the FBI raiding his house and found the pictures and, all of these different things. Whereas the supposed porn tape she's talking about wasn't even brought to the police. It was brought to the media first. So I have to make those points to her. And, then I go into the documentary and I'm saying, even with this Epstein documentary, they're talking about they're already on their third R. Kelly documentary. And as they talk about Epstein's, they keep referencing R. Kelly. So all they're doing is just, again, rehashing the whole R. Kelly thing as they're trying to talk about the Epstein documentary they're doing. Anyway, so that's what I was saying. Like all the promotion for the Epstein documentaries just rehashed R. Kelly's. And she doesn't see the major differences in how these cases are handled. That's not what she chooses to discuss. So, she's telling me I'm putting races against each other and all of that. And I'm like, yo, go tell the United States government to stop putting races against each other. Her response becomes, I choose not to keep up with your conversation. I just don't care what you think. So you know what? If you don't care what I think, why are you on here? Then she tells me I can't throw a white pedo out there and say the black pedo is not getting special treatment, but the white is. Clearly, when Epstein tried to hang himself last week, it was his bunkmate that got him down. See, and this is my problem. This is a person that's just listening to the mainstream media. How do you know that it was his bunkmate that got him down? Where is she getting this information? And the fact that she even believes he tried to hang himself, okay? And then she's like, no special solitary confinement. She thinks that's special, solitary confinement. And then she says, I will also not comment on the other differences in the cases. Yeah, because you can't. And then, but again, these monsters need to be locked up for life so they cannot hurt another human. This is when somebody is trying to be more or is morally right, but they're mentally wrong. And I say that because morally, yes, if people are out there doing horrific acts with children, and see, in R. Kelly's case, I just can't even say children. I really can't. But, or raping people, or yes, then they need, and I don't even know if the answer sometimes is being locked up, but whatever. So the point I'm trying to make is that, yes, she's being morally right in some of what she's saying. That whether they're black or white, they should be looked at. But why I say she's mentally wrong is because you keep putting a black man, that all of the evidence presented really is not evidence at all. You have women that have been proven to be liars. And you're comparing him and you're taking him for guilty just on that. And this is what they do. All you have to do is say a black man did it and there is no investigation. He did it. You say a white man did it and you can have all the evidence in the world and they will still defend him, because whether she sees it or not, she is defending him when she says, so no solitary confinement for him. And it was his bunkmate that got him down. Oh, God. Anyway, I'm just going to end it here. Like I said, those type of comments will just be deleted. I don't have a problem with anybody opposing something that I say, but then come with the opposition to what I'm talking about, not to something that you want to talk about. So in the future, these type of comments will be deleted. Take it in and win. Thanks for listening.